Good, happy Friday morning, March 8th, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, tractor-trailer cab catches fire off I-95. Take a look at that viewer video. That viewer took of that fire in that tractor trailer right in Greenland, New Hampshire.
Here at Ippolito's, we sell generational furniture. USA-made furniture built to stand the test of time. All the imports that our competitors sell for
Okay, and there you go on that video from a viewer. A tractor-trailer cab caught fire in Greenland on Thursday evening. Video taken at a truck stop off Interstate 95 shows a lot of thick black smoke in the air. Greenland police said the fire was contained to just that truck. Burned Confederate flag found in homeowner's mailbox. Police asking for public's help in finding leads. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Monica Hernandez.
generational furniture. USA-made furniture built to stand the test.
Goffstown police are asking for tips after a partial burnt Confederate flag was found in a person's mailbox in town. The flag was flown. The homeowner found the flag in December. Police say the FBI is assisting in the case due to the racial implications. Investigators now want the public's help after they say they've exhausted all resources without any substantial leads.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Injured juvenile Harp seal spotted near downtown Portsmouth. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
Here at Ippolito's, we sell generational furniture. USA-made furniture built to stand the test.
It was a call the Seacoast Science Center Marine Mammal Rescue Team wasn't quite expecting. A juvenile harp seal spotted along Market Street near downtown Portsmouth.
So it was a little unique for us, but it was right by the water's edge, and seals do haul out pretty often.
These seals typically spend time on land and make their way back to the water on their own.
They're a winter visitor from the Arctic. They thrive in these conditions. They love the cold. They love the snow.
The seal had some visible injuries, so the rescue team was hoping to get there in time to get a better look.
But unfortunately, a train went by, and the train tracks were right there and spooked the animal back into the water.
Officials say they know they've seen this particular seal on land before, since harp seals have unique markings, much like Dalmatians.
So on the left side of this animal's neck, he has two unique stripes that were a telltale sign that we had seen him before.
They believe this same seal was spotted in Hampton last month.
He did have the wounds then, but they were very fresh at the time, so we would have expected that they would have healed at least partially by now. And they still seemed pretty fresh and pretty deep.
While they are adorable creatures, officials want to remind the public it's against federal law to come within 150 feet of them.
It's dangerous, not only for the animal, but also for the human.
If you spot a seal on land, contact the Seacoast Science Center. In Portsmouth, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Woman sentenced to prison for son's death says redemption is possible. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Amy Cavino.
Here at Ippolito's, we sell generational furniture. USA-made furniture built to stand.
No, I don't forgive myself yet.
Melissa Gutierrez has come a long way since August 25th, 2011, a summer morning in Merrimack that turned from joyful to horrific in a matter of minutes.
I just remember looking for a towel, and I remember when I went downstairs to look, and where we typically do laundry, I remember seeing water on the floor, and I remember instantly panicking.
She raced up the stairs of the Wilson Hill Road home and will never forget what she saw next.
JJ was standing in the back of the tub, and my son was floating in the water.
In a panic, she took her limp baby to the neighbor's house, screaming for help. 911, CPR, the paramedics, all to no avail. 8-month-old Christian was dead.
The day that my son died, I was sober. I had not used any type of drugs the day that my son died.
But Gutierrez admits she was a longtime drug addict and that drugs changed her.
I genuinely believe that if I had been sober like I am today, that I would have done things completely different.
She was convicted of negligent homicide and sent to prison, an experience she calls the lesson of a lifetime.
I didn't know if I even deserved to be having the opportunity to be in prison. I didn't even know if I deserved to be living at that point.
In the beginning, she says she was heavily sedated, but when the fog of medication lifted, she engaged in programs and therapy and worked to improve herself. But surprisingly, it was a months-long stint in solitary that offered the most growth.
And the bizarre thing is I didn't mind it. It was my sanctuary, honestly. It gave me time to read and write and cry and think and analyze and dig very deep. And I think that 3 months in the hole was probably the best 3 months I had in prison.
Life is different now for Melissa Gutierrez. Released from prison in 2016, she has a full-time job, is engaged to Susan, a woman she met at the halfway house, and lives in an apartment that she loves. She wants people to know that redemption is possible.
I can't live my life on my mistakes. If I do that, my son will have died in vain, and I will be allowing this horrific misjudgment and poor choice that I made define who I am. And you want to know what? I'm not okay with that.
Christian would be 8 now. His big brother JJ is 10 and was permanently adopted by a loving family. Melissa doesn't see him anymore, but she is in close contact with her teenage daughter who lives with an aunt in Rhode Island. Melissa has been sober for 5 years. Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire Supreme Court rules worker should be reimbursed for medical marijuana. A labor appeals board was wrong to determine that workers' composition insurance can't reimburse an employee for the cost of medical marijuana, according to New Hampshire Supreme Court decision released Thursday. But the court left unresolved whether an insurance company can be prosecuted for it under federal law. The court ruled in favor of reimbursement for Andrew Panagio, 59, who was hurt his back at work and was approved by the state health department to participate in the therapeutic cannabis program in 2016. He used medical marijuana to treat the ongoing pain and sought reimbursement through workers' compensation, but his insurance carrier denied it on the grounds it wasn't necessary. He sent the case back to the board, which found therapeutic cannabis medically necessary for him, but it still denied payment because possession of marijuana is still a federal crime that could expose an insurance carrier to criminal prosecution. The court said the board didn't cite any legal authority or identity a federal statute in its decision. It's been an emotional roller coaster, said Panagio, a former chemical worker in Nashua, New Hampshire, who was injured in 1991 and has been fighting for insurance coverage ever since. It's a little disheartening, he said, the court's option, but we live for another day. After his insurance carrier denied his reimbursement claim, Panagio appealed to the State Composition Appeals Board. It rejected the insurance carrier's argument, crediting his testimony that medical marijuana reduced his need for opponents and that his use of it was reasonable and medically necessary, but it still denied reimbursement. In addition, the prosecution issue, the board noted, the state therapeutic cannabis law says nothing in statute shall be contrasted to require health insurance providers to be labeled for medical marijuana reimbursement claims. It said that also appealed to workers' composition carriers too, which aren't specifically mentioned. The court said the state workers' composition law doesn't deny such reimbursement. The case is not the first to address whether employees should have to pay for medical marijuana under a state workers' composition system. Last year in Maine, the state Supreme Court ruled against a paper mill worker who was disabled after being hurt on the job in 1989. The court ruled that federal law takes precedence in a conflict between the Federal Controlled Substance Act, and the state medical marijuana law. The last 5 states, Connecticut, Maine, Minnesota, New Jersey, and Mexico, have found medical marijuana treatment is reimbursable under their workers' composition laws, according to the National Council in Composition Insurance. Florida, North Dakota, and Michigan, meanwhile, passed laws excluding medical marijuana treatment from workers' composition reimbursement. Woman charged several times with DUI faces new charge after chase. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
GMI Asphalt is currently accepting job applications to join our team. We have an aggressive pay scale, health insurance benefits. Both men and women are urged to contact the office of GMI Asphalt or visit us on the web at gmiasphalt.com.
This was certainly a tense situation for state police. They do say the chase lasted roughly 25 minutes. She led them all the way down Route 16, going through these tolls here in Rochester, and finally stopping in Dover, just south of Exit 7. Now, this all started in the town of Wakefield around 7 last night. Troopers tried to pull over 39-year-old Vicky Thibodeau for driving violations, but she took off, speeding down Route 16. They ended up using spike strips, forcing her to stop her car, which is now sitting at a tow yard in Dover. Officials say Thibodeau did not have a valid license. She also had her 16-year-old daughter in the car at the time.
I think it's important to know that our troopers are out there and they're trying to enforce the laws of the road, and something as simple as a speeding violation could result in a pursuit of an impaired driver, and we want to remove that impaired driver from the highway as soon as possible so nobody gets hurt.
Now, Thibodeau does face several felony charges, which could result in jail time. She will face a judge on March 21st. Reporting live in Rochester, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow features point to a lower open after China, experts plummet. U.S. stocks features were lower Friday morning, aimed at escalating concerns about global economic slowdown. Paul Manafort sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison. A federal judge Thursday sentenced Paul Manafort to nearly 4 years in federal prison for crimes related to tax and bank fraud in the first of 2 sentencing hearings for the one-time Trump campaign chairman, a term substantially less than prosecutors thought. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday and a great rest of your day. I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.